One. All right, so hello everybody. Welcome to the Athletic Scout podcast. We are deep into the summer football season. Actually, the end of the summer portion. I mean, technically it's still summer, but we're about ready to begin the preseason portion of the high school football season. And then, of course, we have to have on a key member of the Lake Forest Scouts 2026 football season. Been dying to get him on for how long here, George? Like probably 3-4 months. Been
Yeah,
trying
it's
to
been a while, probably 3 months. It's been a
get
minute.
our schedules coordinated, but we're happy to have on Scout Senior George Holland. George, how are you?
Doing great, honestly, doing great. We just get back to football tomorrow, so been taking the time off. It's been good to get a bit of a rest and chill time, being able to sleep in a bit, which is always nice. But I'm eager to get back, and I'm really excited for tomorrow, 5th.
Yeah, we're recording this on Tuesday, August the 4th.
Mhm.
So if you're watching this, it'll probably be a few days into Scouts practice. And we're going to talk about that actually now because I want to start about the team perspective. And then we're going to go on George's recruiting journey. First, where he is now in the recruiting process, George. Is going to play in college, just a question of where he's going to go. He's got a lot of opportunities here, put himself in a good position. So we're going to talk about that a little bit because he has a really interesting story to tell in terms of where he's gone on and where he is now. But let's start about the 2026 team so far. You and I were talking off air a little bit about the summer portion. Parkside ended a couple weeks ago. A bit of a strange schedule because normally you guys wouldn't start again until Monday,
Right.
which would be
Mhm.
the 10th, but you're starting on the 5th. Just give me an assessment of how the July period went and what the expectations are here in August.
Well, honestly, it feels like everything's happening a lot quicker than usual, and honestly, it is because, like what you said, the our practice usually starts on the 10th and it's on the 5th, all because of our first game being pulled up another week, and that's really sped up the process of how quickly and how the physicality of practice needs to be bumped up, and I think that throughout workouts, which were great in the first in June, and I think all of that went great, and everybody was trying their hardest. It was great. All the guys were working in the weight room and on the field, and then going into when we put pads on in July, I think it upgraded even more. I think the physicality is great. I think that we're all running around, flying around, and I think that a lot of guys are stepping up, which is always great to see. That's a need, being that we had a lot of seniors that started last year and they left, so there's a lot of spots to fill. And with that being said, those junior guys need to step up, and we're seeing a lot of that happening, but we also would like to see a little bit more of that happening. And I think that there's some key guys that would really help the team like get where it needs to be this season if they did step up, and that's really what we're waiting on. And I think that regardless of that, we have a really, really strong senior group, and we're all buds and we're all guys and we're all friends. And I think that the chemistry that we have and that we've built throughout the seniors and the juniors and throughout the off season, I think it's really strong. And I think that we've really worked hard on setting a standard of where the culture needs to be at for Lake Forest High School and Lake Forest County program.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because you were a member of last year's 2025 team, but just didn't reach expectations. Again, good guys, real good senior class,
Absolutely.
but 4 wins and not making the playoffs is not typically what we expect here at Lake Forest, and we don't need to go over the reasons for that. Okay, you just weren't able to accomplish it. But when you witness that as a junior, and you were a starting linebacker for last year's team. Um, did you even in the off season think, okay, like I learned from that saying, I don't want to do it that way, right? That
Yes.
that didn't work. You don't have to get into specifics of what that is, but more like, okay, now I'm going to do things our way. And then when did that work begin? And for you, what does leadership look like to you?
Leadership to me, well, I can answer that in multiple different ways. I think that leadership to me isn't always the guy who's being the loudest, yelling the loudest, loud. Like that's always great. We love a guy that brings all the energy together. I think that I'm kind of a guy that loves to scream and get loud, but also a leader isn't none of your teammates are going to do something that you wouldn't be willing to do. And I think that the best way to help and motivate them is to do it the hardest and with your best effort in front of them and lead by example and show them what they can do and show them that they can do it. And I think that if you create an environment where everybody wants to try their hardest and everybody lifts each other up, I think that that's the most successful, like, I think that's the most successful way to like bring your program into the season. And honestly, like, yeah,
No, I think it's well said, and I think what you just said there about you have to be willing to do. I mean, if you're going to ask of a teammate to do something, you have to be willing to do that as well. And I think you've certainly proven, I think, in what you've done in the offseason and certainly what you're doing from a college perspective. What I like about this group, too, is you've got multiple guys who want to play in college.
Right.
And
That
I
means
think that, yeah, how much does that matter? You think again, you, Charlie, Michael Heeman, the three guys on a defensive line, right, are all pursuing college. And there's certainly others guys as well that want to play. But how much you think is that from a perspective of, hey, if I'm going to play in college, I got to be willing to do things others are not, and then bring along the other guys with me.
right. And I think that going into like college, regardless, I mean, I think that you have that mindset that you're going to do things that others aren't going to do, and you have to embrace that diversity. And I think that the first step in embracing it is proving what you can do in high school. And I think that having college offers, I mean, not having college offers, but college aspirations. And I mean, there's a ton of guys that still have college aspirations that don't have offers on our team. And I mean, I think that it it's just like a chip on your shoulder. I mean, I want it, I got to prove it. I'm going to show it on film. Like I need to be intense. I think that we want 100% intensity from guys regardless, but I think that it's good to know that people with these college aspirations are very likely going to bring this intensity that we're looking for and this drive that we want. And they're going to stay committed and they want to keep doing this for the next 4 years. So, I mean, that's a whole nother level of commitment that they're going to be showing to this team. And I think that we can really see it and we've seen it throughout the offseason. And I think that's been a great, like, building piece to us helping fix the culture and turn around, like, the standard of our team. And I think that it's been really great doing that.
Yeah, I think if you look at the history of successful Lake Forest teams, again, you and I talked about this off air. There's a key core group of seniors at every position, guys that have maybe contributed as juniors or back as seniors. They take that next development level. Then you have kids that were sophomores last year, maybe were called up for the playoffs, maybe played a little bit of sophomores, like an Ezio, right, who did play a lot as a sophomore at linebacker position. But those guys then also come along and they are able to fill those pieces and grow up very, very quickly. So I think it's a balancing act there. But I think you have the pieces this year because of the numbers. A lot of
Right.
juniors now seniors, and there's going to be a good core junior group that have had success. I mean, you've got
Mhm.
varsity athletes. I'm talking about guys like an Alex Pisek. I'm talking about a guy like a Charlie Summers. Someone like a Dante Federini. These are all guys that have been varsity athletes as sophomores. So they've
Right.
had success as high school athletes. How much have you noticed that? I know some of these guys have gotten there late a little bit. Parkside, I think, was the first time you saw some of these guys, right? Because they
Yeah,
were
definitely.
doing
I
some
mean,
recruiting things.
mhm.
From your perspective, having guys that are winners and guys who know what it takes to compete at a high level, from a leadership perspective, do you notice guys like that maybe just are a little bit more easier to kind of to kind of bring along?
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, obviously they've won, they know what it feels like to win, they know what it feels like to be a part of a great team and to be part of a great team that has great chemistry. And I think that those guys, they're easy to get along with. They know what needs to be get done to succeed. And I think that they're always willing to be in that part and help when it needs to, and they're always going to try their hardest. I mean, if they're a varsity athlete, I mean, that's the least you'd expect. I mean, just full blow, full effort, pedal down. I mean, that's what you'd expect out of it. And honestly, that's what I see out of those guys as well.
Yeah, make sure I mention Owen Kahneman too, who is a
Sure.
varsity baseball player.
Right.
All right, as a sophomore too, so just a really good group. Okay, so we're gonna. So I think as we're recording this, the scouts will have 16 practices before the first game against Deerfield. One last question, George, before we shift to your recruiting journey. Is the identity and personality of this team has yet to take shape? Maybe there's still some. We're starting to see some
Mhm.
shards of it. We're starting to see some elements to it, but we're not going to know until Deerfield, really on August 21st, maybe the Carmel game on August 28th. Just give me your assessment of if you were to say this is what I want the identity and the personality of our team to be. Give me a couple ideas.
I think that our team know what needs to get done, and I think that we have all the abilities and all the people and um I think that we have all the help that we need to get there, and I think that the identity of our team, I mean, I think we won it, and I think that we exactly, we know what needs to get done. We want it, and we know what happened last year, and we know what needs to change. And I think that we all have a lot of team chemistry, and we all are a great group of guys, and we all work great together. And I think that we honestly, um, yeah,
No, I think you got it, man. I think, and I would say from a football perspective, George, run the football, play really good defense. That
yeah,
would be a good
yeah,
a good start. Turn the ball over, right? Turn the
yeah.
ball over. That would be a good thing too from a football perspective, right? So, again, our guest is George Holland. George is a class of 2027, the senior, 6'4", 235. Although I guess that's up to 240 at this point, George. We're talking probably
About 240, yes, sir.
no 240. Okay, so I know on your Twitter profile you got you at 6'4", 235. Give us an update where you are recruiting wise. I know a lot of people watching this, friends, family, college coaches, want to know where you are recruiting wise. Tell you right now in terms of offers and schools that you are, or at least give me a number of schools you are. You can mention the schools if you'd like to. If not, that's okay too. But schools that are kind of on your radar and kind of who you're talking to.
So there's a ton throughout this whole summer. I've kind of gone on a journey that like I wouldn't expect, and it was definitely not what I thought of what my summer was going to be like. But I'm really happy of how it turned out, and I mean, like I'm so blessed to be in this position and to be able to say that I have these offers. It's honestly amazing, and I think there's a ton of schools that I would love to go to, and I think it's just coming down and sifting out through which one that feels right for me. I mean, schools like Harvard and Yale and Brown um and like Georgetown. I mean, I'm in contact with those, and those I think are definitely interested in me. And I think that I'm trying to use football to get me into the best academic school that I possibly can. I want to play the highest level of football and the highest level of and get the highest level of education while I do it. Um, and I think that for my offers so far, I can definitely like achieve that goal. But I think that regardless, there's still a higher and higher like goal above that. I mean, you want something, you get it, you want more. I think that's kind of how I feel. And I mean, I have offers from Central Michigan, Butler, University of St. Thomas, and University of West Point. So I mean, it's really I'm in a blessed position, but I think that I'm always trying to shoot for higher ones. And I think that I'm very grateful for all the offers regardless.
Yeah, that's a quite a mix that you mentioned there. You've got a high end D1 school like an Army, right, which is a team that's used to competing and for group of five championships, right? And then you have a MAC school in there, and you got a few Ivies in there. And George, you are listed. I'll make sure. I don't want to say this. I want you to say this because on your Twitter profile, you've got you listed as linebacker, edge. What's the feedback you're getting from college coaches in terms of where they see you and where would you like to play at the college level positionally?
Mhm. So it's kind of a funny story. I mean, I last year I played linebacker and I was playing Will and I really wanted to play outside. I love rushing the quarterback. I love hitting the quarterback. That feeling of just getting a sack. I mean, I love it. That's what I want to be doing. I want to be coming off the edge, stopping the run, holding the edge. I mean, I that's honestly where I want to be on the field at that end position. I mean, this year I'm really pumped up because I am going to be playing defensive end. And I mean, that's ideally where I'd want to be, handing the dirt, getting sacks. And I think last year it wasn't directly where I wanted to play on the field, but I loved it and I loved commanding the defense and I loved hitting every single play. I think that it was also a great opportunity for me to learn like what it means to be a leader on the field. I mean, as the Mike linebacker, that's kind of your position, and I think that I stepped up last year and I did a solid job at it, and that really also helped the transition of me moving down to D end. That really like made it a lot less like technical, and I had to honestly I had to think about a lot less stuff. And throughout this whole summer through June, all the camps I went to, I kind of went to these camps as an outside guy, outside gap defender, kind of like a D end or an outside linebacker. Um, like my West Point offer is for the position called dog, which is defensive outside gap player. and which is kind of just like an outside linebacker. So is my offer for University of St. Thomas and Butler. And then for Central Michigan, I've talked to them. They said like they would have to figure out where to place me at outside linebacker, middle linebacker, or D end. So I mean that's honestly great to hear that there's some variety and that they know that I can play wherever on the field, and I love that I've shown that honestly. I mean that's kind of what I want to be. I want to be versatile and I want to give it 100% wherever I am on the field, and I know I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and so much of this comes down to scheme and program and also your body type, right? Because you've grown a lot, right, since you were a junior and certainly since you were a sophomore. So, 235, 240, that sounds to me more like somebody with his hand in the ground, right? As
Yes.
opposed to somebody who's going to be a stand-up linebacker.
Right.
I mean, depending on, I suppose, the particular program.
Right.
I
And
want
I
to
mean,
ask you about playing the edge position because those guys get paid too, right?
right. Uh-huh.
George, can you hear me okay?
Hmm? Yes, sir.
George, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We lost you. Okay, now I just lost you there for a second on the
Oh,
record. Those guys get paid, right? So I think about, yeah, is that better? Okay, all right. I just think of like a Max Crosby, right? I think about Aiden Hutchinson, right? I think about a Miles Garrett, right? Those guys. Those are those pass rushers. So, would you
mhm.
consider yourself? Is there anybody you would model yourself after?
Oh, I mean that's a great question. I
If we're losing it, George, can you hear me okay?
there's I think there's a lot of yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna try to fix my Wi-Fi 1 second. I don't know what's going on.
No worries, man.
Are we good?
Yeah,
Or is
no, I can hear you just fine. It's just a matter, can you hear me? I think.
okay? No, I can hear you. I think we're good.
Okay, go ahead. So just give me. Yeah, I mentioned some of those the high end guys. I mean, at the Will Anderson Juniors, right? Those guys, Micah
Um,
Parsons. I just think is there. I mean, the audience would want to know, hey, if you're an edge guy, is there somebody that you might model your game after?
no, there's a ton of edge guys. I mean, I think like honestly, edge. I've always been a big Nick Bosa fan. Honestly, I mean
Mm.
that'd honestly be my number one pick. That dude is a monster. But I mean, yeah,
Yeah, Bosa, I think is somebody who probably has probably fallen off a little bit the last. I think he was
yeah,
injured
and
a lot last year, but
he
certainly.
a tough time. But I mean, when he was great, he was great.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, Bosa, Ohio State guy.
right.
How would you? Are you, a power rush guy? Are you kind of a speed rush guy? I know most pass rushers have to have an arsenal of different moves. You got to have that counter move as well, right? As a pass rusher. So, how would you sort of describe yourself in terms of the whatever you might have in the repertoire?
I think that the my kind of style is pass rushing. I think that my biggest kind of gift is my length, and I think that I mean I have an 80 and 79-inch wingspan, and I think that
Mm.
that really helps me get long with my arms and create separation between men and help get off blocks. And I mean that's like the long arm stab, bull rush. I mean all of that swim move, like a lot of stuff. I can just get up to them. It's a lot of my length helps a lot, honestly. Like that's my biggest adversary, and that's my biggest thing that's going to help me get off blocks this season. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's going to be real difficult for offensive line, depending on what side that you play on, for just like a tackle to be able to handle you. Like I think they're going to, off that first week game film against Deerfield, when you're playing the position that you probably didn't play last year, right? Because you were playing linebacker. Man, I do not envy some of those offensive guys. Whether it's going to be having like an extra blocker in there, you're going to have a fullback or somebody that can check you a little bit.
right.
You better have a mobile quarterback because if he's standing there in the pocket, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 5 step, waiting for those
Hmm.
deep posts to open up, I don't think he's going to have time, George. I think you're going to get to him.
Hmm. And I mean, I think that with Chuck and Mike too, I mean, I think that makes the seconds go down even quicker. I mean, those guys are just producing even more and more. This past week, Coach Magnolia's left the field open for a couple guys, and I mean, me and Charlie Hornberger and all the guys have been definitely taking advantage of it and getting out there and getting those extra reps in, just trying to perfect our craft before the official season with pads starts up.
Yeah, no doubt. I think this is coming into this season the most experienced and probably talented defensive line. The 2024 group is really good with Finn Goodman,
Hmm.
kind of leading that edge. That group was really good. Matthew Samoza, a few other guys on that line. The 2021 team that went to the semifinals, like kind of Max Turlap there in the middle. You had edge
Hmm.
rushers as well on the end, but this group is really really versatile, experienced, and talented. And make sure you
Right.
mention Chuck Hornberger. I got to stop calling him Charlie. I got to start
Yeah.
going with Chuck. And of course, Michael Heeman on the other side. Our guest is George Holland. He is a 6'4", 240-pound edge, almost said linebacker again, their edge for the Lake Forest Scouts. We talked about the offers that he has. Also, the different types of moves you got to have to play that position. But I want to go back and kind of start the beginning here, George, of your journey to get to
Right.
here, because at some point in your football career, you have to make a decision. Certainly, there has to be outside influence, meaning you have to have third party validation saying, hey, somebody telling me I'm pretty good, right?
Right.
But then you have to make a decision that, hey, do I want to pursue this?
Hmm.
And do you remember, maybe not the exact lightning bulb, or maybe there was a moment when you got that third party validation. But do you remember, was there a time period or a specific camp you went to or game where you were like, man, I'm pretty good, and other people are telling me I'm pretty good, and I think I want to pursue this college football thing?
I mean, I honestly, it's been kind of, I think I have a hard time noticing like that specific thing that, like, oh, I'm pretty good. And I think that honestly, I don't like need it. I think that I probably came to that realization honestly when I got my first offer from University of St. Thomas. I think that a lot of it's kind of what you tell yourself, and that I just keep telling myself I just got to keep working, and that like I'm good, but I'm not where I need to be, and that's kind of my mindset right now, and that's been my mindset for the past couple months, and that's that's just what keeps me going, and I think that I'm confident in myself, I'm confident in my ability, um, whether that makes me good or not. I mean that's like that happens on the moment, depends on the moment, but I think that I know I can produce, and I know when I need to produce, I'm gonna produce. And like I'm confident in that.
I remember you as a sophomore playing in playoff games.
Mhm. Yes,
So
sir.
that 2024 team played three playoff games,
Right. And I
and
mean,
you were a sophomore that year. So that must have been some kind of a signal for you, like, okay, I got some things on film here. I'm on a really good playoff team here, and even your freshman year, I think you were called up right for the postseason. So there had to be some seeds that were planted there. That in your mind, maybe you weren't waking up thinking about it consciously in the
I
moment.
guess not, honestly, but
Does that make
I
sense?
mean, yes, that does. And I think that I was brought up for both those playoff runs, and I think that they kind of I mean, yeah, I was brought up for those playoff runs, and they bring a ton of guys up, and I like not a ton of guys, but a select few, and I mean that's pretty good. It's pretty clear that that should play into that seed.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you have to begin sort of the infrastructure to go on this recruiting journey, right?
Hmm.
Because recruiting today, you don't just sit back and play your football games and hope that the college coaches come to you. You
Right.
got to organize and get going. So, talk to me about when that really began for you in terms of hitting camps and showcases and really kind of getting on that recruiting circuit and getting noticed. Was that really kind of after your freshman year? Did you begin that
So
process maybe the spring, or was it kind of after your sophomore year?
yeah, I'd say freshman year spring was definitely when I knew that I wanted to play college football. Like I knew that this was something that I wanted to pursue. And honestly, going to like my freshman year spring, my freshman year summer, I knew that camps was what I wanted to do, but I didn't really know what camps I should hit, like how I should communicate with coaches. Should I tell them I'm coming? Like what kind of schools should I go to this summer? And I think that I honestly had absolutely zero clue what I was doing my freshman year. And I think that it was the best thing that I could have done. I mean, I went to these camps like like Notre Dame and like Michigan and all these schools that I was not going to get looks from because these guys they get invited to these camps and they're looking at a select few like amount of people, and I think that I was just one of the masses there, and that's not really a place where I was going to stand out. And I should have been smarter with where I picked my schools and go to schools that invited me freshman year and schools that I knew I was going to get looked at. And I want to go to a place where I already have eyes on me. And with that information, I kind of use that going into my sophomore year. I hit a lot of camps like Yale and Dartmouth where I was invited and where I was then invited to game days after that, continuing to build that relationship. And with that being said, that's kind of the exact place that where I want to be, a strong academic institution with very high standard of play. And honestly, like it's been a really tough journey, but you learn a lot from all these schools. And I've I went to all these camps, and then I went to these camps after my sophomore year. Um, went to games throughout the fall of my junior year. And then that's kind of when more of my visits picked up is the spring of my junior year. I went on a bunch of spring practice visits, kind of getting a lay of the land, like what happens like in practice, in the locker room, in the meeting rooms of these kinds of schools. I mean, I saw a wide amount of schools from NIU to Yale to Michigan State. I mean, I saw a lot of schools, and I mean, all of that, which I loved, and it was really amazing to see the different ways that guys communicate with each other inside the building, outside of it, but also how practices ran and the different styles of coachings that there are. Like it was just honestly amazing to see. And I think that those visits really opened my eyes to what I want, but also what I don't want. And so it makes me it kind of gave a really good picture of where I want to end up.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer because I think your journey is not unusual in the sense that when you start, you might trip up a little bit,
Right.
meaning you don't know what you don't know, right? So you might go to and when I did speak with your father, John, he talked about this about
Right.
going to some of these third party showcases that may
Right.
be
Oh, yeah.
run by Nike or Rivals or some third party you've never heard of before, and it's kind of a meat market.
Right. Mhm.
But I guess it's worth the experience, right? Of knowing that, okay, I don't want to be in that position again. So let's kind of work on establishing some relationships with some coaches that are a little more cognizant or have a little more symmetry with what I want academically and athletically. Then you go to the invite onlys, right? And you
Right.
mentioned those schools that you went to, and then it kind of goes from there. And then you get to the point where now the offers start coming in, as you
Right.
mentioned, the offers that come. What is that like when you get a phone call from West Point and their coach, whomever it might be, whether it's the head coach, Monken, or it's a position coach, whoever it might be, and says, "We want you to be at our school. We think enough of you. We want you to be in our class of 2027." What I be? Just describe kind of where you were when you got that phone call and your emotions, and take us through that.
Yeah. So it was funny. The first time I met Coach Holt was at Northwestern University's Big Man Camp. That was when we started building that relationship, and we met at the end of camp. That was a really stellar camp for me. I think I played my heart out, and I think I definitely proved that I can play at that camp. And they introduced themselves to me. They were like, "We came all the way to West Point from West Point here for you." They gave me all their info, and then we were gonna set up an official visit. I mean, an unofficial visit. Sorry, unofficial visit, like a kind of like a spring practice thing that you can go on without offer. And the next week, I had my last camp at Miami, Ohio, on the High Academic Showcase, and it was the night before the camp, and me and my dad were about to go to bed, and Coach Holt called me and basically offered me, and it was thrilling. Like it was like that was probably the most rush of adrenaline, but also like of so many different feelings. Cause like that, I mean, a school like that, that's probably the most kind of like we talked about earlier. That's the most like validation. Like I'm good. Like I like that. That felt good to get that. And I mean, that was really what I've been looking for, and I want to keep that feeling going. And like that's how I felt.
Yeah, if you're looking at academics, athletics, the leadership piece, right? You know,
Exactly.
the human development element to it. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than the military academy. So that must have been an amazing feeling and experience. Um, and not to mention, you certainly mentioned St. Thomas, Butler, and a few of these other schools, right? That have also in Central Michigan, right? A few of these other schools that have offered to you. So people also want to know, well, George, I mean, you're going into your senior year. A lot of guys in your class will make that commitment before their senior season, meaning they
Right.
will sort of say, I want to get the recruiting out of the way. I don't want any distractions. I want to focus on my team and my season. But you're not ready to do that yet,
Right.
right? So explain
Yes,
that
sir.
decision making and why you want to kind of wait till after the season.
So I'd like to know that a school is exactly where I want to be. I think that I'm going to be there for 4 or 5 years, and I want to know that it's a place where I can stay. I really don't hope to transfer a ton in my college career. I want to be somewhere that feels like home, somewhere I can have like my teammates and guys around me that feel like home, and that's ultimately where I want to be. I want to be a place where I can stay. And I think that in order for me to recognize and find the right place, that's going to take time. And from the offers that I have and from the offers that I will get, I think that schools saying that, hey, we want to wait on your first 2 to 3 weeks of film, like that's, and if it's a school that I would really like aspiring for, I think that's enough for me to wait. But also, I think it's tough. I'm also waiting in for visits, and I want to go back to West Point, and I want to go see Central Michigan, and I want to go me and the coach from West Point, Coach Holt, we were talking about going an official visit there and getting like a lay of land there, maybe an overnight. Like I would like to really get a feel and see where I'm going to be living for the next 4 to 5 years, and especially West Point, I'm going to be going there. I mean, 4 years of school and then 5 years of military. I mean, that's a 9 year commitment that I'm making at 17, 18 years old. That's a lot, and I think that in order for me to make a commitment that I'm not gonna want to go back on, I need to take my time and evaluate what I have. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Interesting, you said a 4 or 5 year decision because now we live in an era of college sports where there's a lot more mobility for the college
Sir.
athlete. Where
Right.
most athletes today, I think, who go to Power Four schools are not going to start, are not going to end up at the same school, right? That they initially were recruited to, but that really matters to you, right? Now, again, the future, who knows what happens, right, in college football. But is that what you're telling these schools up front? And you're saying I plan on making a 4 or 5 year decision, and what response are you getting from those coaches? Or is that, do they consider that like to be a virtue? Yeah, that you want us for that length of time. What kind of
Uh,
feedback are you getting on that?
I mean, yes, I am. And I think that everybody wants a team player and a guy who's not going to move around or switch up on their team. And I think that that's honestly loyalty and accountability is one of the best attributes that an athlete can have. And I think from my perspective, I am very heavy on that, and like I'm gonna try to display the best loyalty and the best accountability that I can. I mean, if I don't want if my teammates count on me, then I count on them, and if none of us can count on each other, then we don't have a team. So like I think that that's like a really strong like attribute, and I think that that's honestly one of the biggest part of being a team. You need to be able to be loyal to them, you need to stick with them, and you need to be accountable.
Yeah, I hope the college coaches out there are listening to your answer right there because that's about as awesome an answer that I've heard from anybody when it comes to. I asked you earlier, George, about identity and personality and character, and I think you just answered it right there.
Oh,
Like that's what it's about. And when I hear that, I'm kind of like, man, I am excited for this season for you guys. But I tell you, whoever gets you at 27, man, I'm like, hit this guy
yeah.
up, man. Hit him up. All right. Hit him up before that 2 game tape comes out. All right. Because he's going to have a lot of sacks, a lot of TFLs, and, whatever. I know Carmel's got some big boys. I know that. So I'm looking forward to that matchup for sure. And me too
I'm
against,
honestly
against
really
Carmel.
excited. It's gonna be some great film.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially going against it. Deerfield. Hey, much respect to Deerfield. Awesome program. They've had tremendous history. Glad you guys are playing them in that first round game because I like those regional matchups, right? Literally just, right down the street. Of course, they're coming to Varsity Field. But the Carmel game is a lot of fun because you just got talent all across the board there, on their program and in your program. Hey, before we wrap up, a couple more questions with George, and we're gonna finish up here. I remember when I did talk to your dad a few months ago. He
Mhm.
shared some stories about going on the recruiting trail and some experiences. And
Mhm.
now you don't have to, there might be a story you're thinking of. And if you're not comfortable maybe giving the specifics of who these people were, that's totally fine. I understand that. But can you give, is there one experience, either positive or negative, that that really jumps out in terms of, man, when this is over with, I'm going to be telling this story to my friends for decades, in terms of interaction with the coach, interaction with future teammates, interaction with school administrators, whatever it might be. Is there anything that kind of jumps out?
So honestly, I've had so many experiences that I would never in my life think that I would be having this conversation right now in this journey. And there's been so many instances where I've been like overjoyed with happiness and like excitement, but there's also times where like that sucks. You hear an answer that you like or you don't want to hear, and like it sucks, but also that's just like another chip on the shoulder. It's just a little like more weight in the carriage. You just got to keep chugging. I mean, I think that there's definitely a lot of times I could think of where something good happened, but also something bad. And though there's probably a lot more negative times, I think that my journey for recruiting isn't really over. And in that regard, I need to display the best character that I can. I really would not like to share any kind of negative stories about any kind of schools because even if I hear something that I absolutely do not want to hear and it sucked, like if they gave me an offer, like that would probably be like the that'd be awesome. So like there's so many negatives and you're gonna get so many like guys that turn their back to you and that just like ghost you, but like it's all kind of a game and they're also playing it. I mean, they're running the rules. They're not waiting on you, you're waiting on them. I think that you just gotta play it by the like how it goes. I mean, I really don't think I'm gonna share a story like that, but
No, that's fair, George. I mean, I kind of had to ask. I mean, you've obviously got some good media training. I think you answered that wisely. Just best to pass on that, And I feel like especially, I mean, maybe not so much, especially now, because recruiting has always been filled with characters and,
right.
you know, bizarre experiences. And as somebody who's covered it for a long time and been involved in it I've heard a lot of stories. I think that the main thing is it's just sort of it all adds up for you, and it's all data, right? It's just all you're collecting all this information, and they're all data points to where ultimately, when you, whether it's negative or positive, when you make your decision, you can exhaust all of it. So, something, man, I've left every stone unturned.
Oh,
I've talked to every character I possibly could talk to, right, out there. And now I know kind of where I want to go, and I think it's just kind of the collection of all of it means that when you make that decision, it's going to be the right one. And that's why I feel like from where you are right now, and you've still got much more in that journey. I just think you still have a lot to offer there. And I think that's, people realize, watch this going, like, you still got a lot more to go, right? You have a season to play, and you've got to still visit these schools, so there's still a lot left to be written.
right. I mean, yeah, there's so much left to happen. I mean, I think that we're kind of in the midst of honestly the end, but I think that this has to be like full blow, pedal down. Like this is not the end. Oh, ease it down. This is the end. I'm going to finish it right, and I'm going to do everything that needs to be done for me to have the best career and possible for this high school. And also, like this college stuff is easy to get distracted with. Like I can go on my Twitter and start seeing 30 different guys in my class getting offers from so and so schools. But I mean, like this time is where I need to focus on my team and our success. And it's not really about just my recruiting anymore right now. I mean, that's a big part in it, but that will come in my first like 3 weeks of film when these schools are waiting on it. Right now, my 100% focus is on my team getting better and getting what needs to get done so we can have the best possible season in these next upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I think the message you're just saying is, take care of what's in front of me, and take care of
For sure,
today's
man.
practice, right? Preparation. And I'm guessing that's what the college coaches recruiting are also telling you right now, because it's easy to think too far ahead, right? And to think about, well, what about this? What about that? And the only thing you can do, and just the best thing is to be pragmatic about it and just say, okay, let's have a good practice today,
Right.
right? Let's make sure that we have a good rep today, right?
Right.
And let's make sure from a leadership perspective, I'm checking in with my guys, making sure everything's good, right? And I'm watching all the film I can do. But I think you're handling it as well as you possibly can, man. Part of me, I just have a tremendous amount of admiration for you, because this can't be easy for a 17, 18-year-old to be going through this, and to have this decision, which is important, but you got a long life ahead of you, and the decision college athletes make today, in a year they change it, or a year from now they can change it. So to put all of this focus on one decision, when who knows if that coaching staff is going to be there the next year or the year after, right?
Yes.
So that's why I thought it's like, hey, it's a good time to be an athlete because of the mobility aspect to it. But I really have a lot of respect for you saying, no, I want to plant my flag somewhere and be there for 4 or 5 years. I think that's something you can really, like, that's a real, like, identity aspect to you, I think, as an athlete, that I think would resonate, I think, with a lot of coaches.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's like for me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, that's just like how I've been raised, how I grew up. I mean, like if I'm choosing these people are going to be my family for the next 4 years, and I'm going to work and grind and lift and be on the field with these guys for 4 years. Exactly what I just said. Like I don't know why I would want to go anywhere else. Like if you're going to move around, that's not really home. So like you need somewhere that feels like home. You need somewhere where you can get better. And I think that there's no better place to improve yourself and work and grind than with your guys, with guys you trust, people you've great team chemistry with, like a place that feels like home. So yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I think what you're describing is less transactional, right? More kind of transformative, right? I think that's the buzzword for that, I think. So, okay, we're gonna let you go on this. I know that in years past, the high school guys have had kind of a hangout place, right? Post practice, I know post games, the parents go to Chiefs, you guys come to Chiefs. So this is more for the Lake Forest audience. I understand if you're a college coach or somebody out there, you can probably hop off right now, because we're going to talk a little bit of Lake Forest stuff here right now. Or if you want to know where everybody goes after games, it's pretty much Chiefs. So most people around town kind of know that.
Right.
Is there anywhere that the guys, and I'm kind of stumping for you guys, because maybe you guys can get some coupons or some free food out of this if you mention it on the pod. Is there a place? I know, Luke's was a big spot there. I know for certain kind of, classes back in the day, it was kind of the McDonald's used to be there. In West Lake Forest. Is now a bank. I think it's Fifth Third Bank, right? It used to be McDonald's there for a long time. Give me a spot.
Honestly, I'm gonna have to go with good old Luke's. I love that place. I mean, I think we've gone the past whole summer. I think we're hitting that like 2 to 3 times a week. I'm getting a little sick of it, but I think it'd be great to get maybe some coupons or something from there. But I think the guys would love that.
Okay, so Luke's is still the spot. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me a little roast beef sandwich over there at Luke's, man. Can't beat it, those guys. So good stuff, man. And actually, finally on this thing too, because I want to make sure, I don't think this came up in the conversation, but it's important to, is the academic piece to this, because you would not be in the position where you are if you were not a great student. And that starts right your freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, certainly, which is coming up here as we go. Just give the audience a sense of like all of these opportunities. Yeah, you are genetically blessed. You're 6'4", 240. You're also somebody obviously works extremely hard. So yeah, you've got the genes, but you have to combine that with the work ethic, and that's why you are where you are. But give us a sense of the importance of the academic piece of this. and advice to any 14, 15-year olds, any eighth graders out there listening to this, parents, and why that is so important to establish that foundation academically, and then the other opportunities open up.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of what you just said, like work ethic. I mean, I was doing school before I played football, and I think that um, with that, my work ethic showed early on. I think that is from the start, just getting like your work done, just being there, being accountable to your teachers, being accountable to your classmates, kind of like what I said earlier. Accountability is a big part of it as a teammate, but also as a student, and being able to get what you need to get done, like your homework, and being able to study and keep yourself on track, whether that's extra studying, which like is honestly, or getting a tutor, or I think just honestly being accountable for yourself, asking for help when you need it. That's kind of the biggest thing. And I think that if you're like you can be accountable to others, but you have to also be accountable to yourself and know what you need to be able to do to get this grade and pass this class and finish this project on time. And you just have to be able to manage your time. And I think that I think that my ethic and my work ethic and my time management started in the classroom, and I think that it helped me once I started playing football, and I was able to express it even more with football, which I mean, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you just heard George say it. No, real quick here. Well,
Should I say that?
now,
I think you're on mute. I think you're on mute. I think you're still on mute.
yeah, give me a second. There we go. Now we're off. Took a second
Sweet.
there to get that off there, but no, I think the athletics are the vehicle, right? But it kind of starts with the academic piece to it, and I want to make sure that we mentioned that before we kind of wrapped up here. So George, that's going to do it. So, anything else you want to mention to the audience out there before we wrap up?
No, sir. All good. Thank you very much for having me on here. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, hey, real quick, make sure, real quick, make sure you kind of flash that Michigan State crest. Give a little pub. There we go. Let's go green, man.
Oh yeah.
Say it, George. Go green.
Yeah.
I guess say go white.
Go green, go white.
You gotta say go white, exactly. So all good. We'll get you there, man. We will get you there. Coach Fitz will get you there. So, and a quick shout out again to the coaching staff at Lake Forest High School. Also, everybody at Lake Forest Country Day School, where George went to middle school and established a great foundation for him. And just a little plug for Junior Scouts football for helping
Right.
George a little bit along the way too. So, all
Yeah.
right, George, appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much, Coach Kerr. I'll see you around.
Got you, bro.
Have a good rest of your day.